What's up, you guys? This is Johnny with Inspired by Cannabis. I'm here with Drew TV. Thank you for having me. Check us out at Inspired by Cannabis and Drew TV.
Welcome back to My First Time, the show where our guests get to tell their story of the first time they got high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman, and today I'd like to welcome our guest, Johnny Santiago. What's happening, my friend?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Thanks for coming on Dro TV. You can find more of Johnny and Inspired by Cannabis on Instagram, as well as ibcbrand.com. So, Johnny, tell everybody where you're located right now, outside sunny skies, and a little bit about what you got going on in the cannabis world.
Yeah, sure. First off, thanks for having me. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I'm glad that we have this opportunity to make this happen.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm Johnny with Inspired by Cannabis. That is my clothing brand, lifestyle brand, but also it does a little bit of marketing, and it just helps me connect with the industry here in California. I'm located in Los Angeles, and then I go to multiple events, a lot of networking, a lot of community events. I also organize and host beach cleanups all throughout Southern California with several cannabis brands here in Los Angeles. And then I started recently working with Humo, which is a LA-based women-led Latino-focused brand, and we're in about 150 stores all over Southern California. And I just got on board with them, so shout out to Humo if you guys have not heard of them. And yeah, that's a little bit of a gist of what I do.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to get more into the inspiration behind Inspired by Cannabis and as well as this new brand you're working with. But the show is my first time, Johnny, so we want to hear about the story of the first time you got high.
Yeah, let's get it. So the first time was an old neighbor of mine. I was about 18, 19 years old. And I was always the type of person that like doesn't really like to follow the crowd. I kind of just do things on my own at my time. And I thought once I graduated high school, I was going to give myself a little reward. At least that's what I thought. I wasn't sure what I was getting into. And I went to a park and it was just there at the park, smoked the joint. I don't recommend it, obviously, but as soon as we finished, we didn't do much, and then we left. So I was driving, and when I started to drive, I felt like the the street itself just like widened itself. So I feel that was like my pupils dilating,
Okay.
and I was like, "Oh wow, this is interesting." And so I always feel that cannabis for me enhances my lifestyle. It doesn't necessarily dictate my lifestyle. And I like to say that cannabis is part of my life and it's not my life. But I love the plant. And then with time, I kind of looked into it and started reading into like the medicinal properties, how it helps with anxiety, depression, and whatnot, and appetite. So I never looked back. That's it's kind of short and sweet, but that's pretty much my story about how the first time I got high.
Okay. And how soon after did you, I guess, make it daily consumption? Or I'm not sure what your habits are, but
After
how?
that, I didn't stop. It became a
Okay.
thing where it was like I hung out with my buddies. We would go in my car at the time that I had the the Nissan Altima. I remember it was my first car, and we just hotboxed it, and we would always do that almost every other day. Um,
Okay.
and then we put our music on. We would listen to Tupac, Thugs and Harmony, SPM, which is South Park Mexican. It's a guy from Texas. And yeah, that was like one of the best moments in terms of like, in the beginning when you're just starting to smoke, you're always trying to reach that level of like where you were the first time. You
Yeah.
never get it, but at the same time, you're always striving for it. So I'm at that point where it's like, it's a habitual thing for me. I think it helps with a lot of things, a lot of my meditation and stress and anxiety. It definitely helps me with all of that.
Awesome. So let's talk about Inspired by Cannabis. I would imagine from everything that cannabis does for you, you wanted to do something in the industry.
And cannabis is in the origin of Inspired by Cannabis, like any good brand, it starts in a garage. And then with a couple friends of mine here in California, a lot of people here in LA, it's kind of like, what do you do? What brand do you have? Everyone is a jack of all trades out here. You kind of have to be in order for you to survive in this environment. So I was hanging out one day with a couple friends, and I was just smoking and getting really high. And I looked around and I realized the common denominator between us was that we had a passion and love for cannabis. And all of us had some type of business, whether it was CBD or any ancillary businesses, but it was related to the plant and inspired by the plant. And that's when I came to a realization that for me, cannabis is more than just getting high. For me, it's about inspiration, because the people that I tend to surround myself with people that inspire me, that motivate me. So that's kind of where Inspired by Cannabis came. It just came to me, and I said, "Hey, we're all inspired by cannabis." And for me, it's important to kind of like normalize it and advocate for this amazing plant. And the way that I kind of see where we can normalize or destigmatize it is by changing the culture. And how you change the culture, you change it by the language, the wording that we choose to use. So for me, it's more than just getting high. So I'm like, I'm not high, I'm not faded, I'm not lit, I'm inspired. So when I smoke, I get inspired, I get creative. A lot of people, artists, chefs, musicians, creators, it inspires them to do more than just the bare minimum and exceed our expectations. And it's interesting to talk about a plant that people tend to see as something that people abuse and people over consume, where it's like it's entirely up to you how you want your relationship with cannabis. And for me, it was a little bit special, more special than just getting high.
Hmm. I like
Um,
that.
so then, so then I said, how else am I going to be able to continue to have this type of momentum and this message come across? So that I created Inspired by Cannabis. It's a clothing line. I've been doing it since 2020. And that kind of got me indoors, where people wanted to know more about what I was doing. And I started going to events, networking like crazy. And now I'm at a point where I'm about to start as a marketing manager for a top 50 California cannabis brand that's just been out since March.
Wow.
So that's kind of where I'm at. And now I'm responsible in hosting and coordinating events, and also hiring people, making sure that we have a bong bar. So what we do is we have a bong bar. We have Mota Glass, which is a minority and veteran-owned company here in California and Los Angeles. They highlight actual glass blowers, and we use their glass, which is super solid glass, for our bong bars. And then we basically smoke people out with our different flavors, and that's what we do. And it's a great time every time.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. Is this a patented bong bar, or is it free for everyone to create their own bong bar?
It's free for anyone. It's just interesting how, smoking out of bongs has been such a traditional way of method of consumption, but yet no one else is doing it. So, we're out here doing it, and people kind of already kind of like, oh, we want to go visit the Humo Bong Bar. So it's a thing now. So it's pretty interesting to see.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Um, not too just a week ago was the MJ Biz Con. If
Yeah.
you're in California, is it something you made your way out there to?
No, unfortunately, I did come under the weather. I'm recovering from a flu. So I wasn't able to do much. I was just kind of bedridden. I have been in a car accident recently. So I kind of been recovering my back. But
Hmm.
other than that, I've just been just getting stronger every day to, kind of get started for this new position that's gonna kind of keep me busy. But MJ BizCon, I did hear a lot about things. A lot of just suits people, that are not, I don't know, they're just trying to find ways to make money off of the plant. Um, but there's definitely comes from every interaction something that you could learn from.
Sure. I'm sorry to hear that you were in an accident. I
Mhm.
would think you're using it's cannabis's plant medicine benefits to your own benefit? Anything you can
Oh
tell
yeah.
us about what you've been using?
I've been smoking a lot of OG Kush,
Okay.
and that definitely helps a lot. So I just kind of been using that more as my pain medicine, and it's helped tremendously. And then visits to the chiropractor,
Mm.
little electric shock therapy, and how that helps. I'm 33. I'm not really someone when I was a little younger going to these like to get actual work done on my body, but now as an adult, you kind of have to, and it's amazing.
Sure.
I recommend it.
Yeah, yeah. Little adjustment here and there never
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah, your neck, your back, and like it does wonders. So, don't count it out. If you need help, look for it.
for sure. So many people are sedentary, especially if they're working from home, the laptop crowd. Um, so yeah, getting up and walking around, being physical, or at the very least going to a chiropractor and getting adjusted to where you're not slouchy and your posture's bad. Because over time, it's a lot harder to fix.
Yes, it is. Definitely.
So let's talk about Humo. How'd you link up with them? And let's talk about some of the work you're doing with them.
So Humo, I touched on it. It's a LA-based Latino focus and women-led run company, and their grow is out in Salinas by in the Bay Area. There's a lot of great like traditional vegetables that are grown out there, and now this company, which is called Possible, they're the umbrella. They have been growing traditional like tomatoes and plants, and then now they're focused on flower. So Umo, like I mentioned, it's a LA-based Latino-focused women-led company, and it's top 50. It's been around as recent as March. And what they're trying to destigmatize is the plant itself, with all the generations of the stigmatize of the plant and then the workers themselves. A lot of people, a lot of times, especially here in California, you look at the people in the back, like packaging and actually doing the growing and the cultivation and all that. You go and you see Latinos, and a lot of times Latinos are not the ones that are getting the spotlight or the highlight. And this brand has given that opportunity for us. So we're definitely pushing that narrative, and it's been a great response from a lot of people. And yeah, now we're just doing a bunch of events. We do also community events. They're part of the beach cleanups that I coordinate. And then we have multiple events. We have a building office in downtown Los Angeles, which is called Green Street. And that's kind of like a little mecca in cannabis right now at the moment. And so we're kind of in tune with what's going on. And we're in a lot of different stores. And the reason why I focus and I'm happy and proud to work with them is because they have a reason, they have a mission, and they have a why. A lot of these brands, they're just selling weed. There's thousands of weed brands out here, but it's kind of like, how does your brand stand out, and what are they doing other than just selling weed? So that's kind of what we're doing right now at the moment. And then we just came out with some joint papers.
Okay.
I'll definitely send you some and a couple stickers here. So it's just like little things like that people love to have and then use, and then they just rep it. And it's just that whole social media marketing factor. People love to represent and actually be part of something. So we're creating our own community at this point.
Nice. And are those hemp paper or
I don't believe these are hemp. So these kind of like our first samples. We're testing them out and seeing how it works out. But it's kind of for our PEDs when we have patient appreciation days, and they buy the deals that we have because our flower is super affordable. We're always giving out BOGO deals, and people love the flower because you kind of have to try it yourself. So then that way you could see how, with terms of like long term, if you continue to smoke it, you literally do feel better because the way it's grown, it's like sustainably grown, And a lot of people, that's what I've been kind of focusing on recently, is like a lot of people don't ask where their flower comes from and how it was grown. And was it grown sustainably? Sure, you could have the highest THC content cannabis flower, but at what cost? And you're over here getting high happy, but how do you know the brand is not utilizing resources? And nowadays we're just trying to conserve our everything that we have.
Sure.
So that's pretty neat to have. It's mixed light, so it touches the sun and then it goes into greenhouse. So that's why it's called mixed light. And it's just different as opposed to indoor. Indoor, it's great, but at the same time, there's something that when it doesn't touch the sun, I feel like it doesn't really have those additional nutrients as any other plant would by having exposure to the sun.
Mm. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I grow a lot of stuff myself, and you can just tell. I mean, I've got a little tiny plant in my office here, and she doesn't do that well because she only gets a tiny bit of sunlight. So I
Mm.
would imagine the sun. That's what gives us
Oh,
life, sun and water. So those two things.
exactly, even with us, the sun
Yeah,
is amazing for us.
yeah. Well, I'm a joint guy, so if you send us some papers, 100% they would get used. So
Nice.
uh,
I'll definitely send you some.
cool. I'd love to check them out. Looks like a very cool product, and I'd love to promote it and share the company brand as well. When you consume,
Mhm.
Johnny, it sounds like mostly flower, but do you dabble into concentrates, edibles? Are you a connoisseur of all?
Yeah, I'm with it as long as it's organic and has good THC in it. I'm definitely gonna try it out. I did get into the San Diego community, glass community. They're pretty big on dabbing and glass, so they're kind of the ones that introduced me to it. Um, and there's a thing, I don't know if you guys know, it's called ninjaing.
Mm-mm.
So basically, what that is you take a huge glob dab, and then right before you're about to finish, someone else comes and adds more to it,
Okay.
and you're ninjaed. And that's why it's called ninja, because they have to be secret about it. And then right when you don't expect it, it comes, and then boom, that's on you. Now you have to finish it. So that was my initiation and my introduction to the real dabbing community, the real glass people, because
Okay.
that's what they do, and they love that. And it's so much rosin out here, and it's pricey, but it's definitely delicious, and it will knock you out. You'll be out for hours. You'll just want to eat and sleep, and then you won't know what time it is when you wake up. So that's kind of it gets intense over here sometimes. So I kind of like just pick and choose my battles, to
Sure.
say the least. Because yeah, people out here get serious about all that concentrates.
So you reached ninja status?
I wish I got ninja'd, but no, I didn't reach it yet. No, because I think it's
Is
a
it like
whole,
a
like I
is
was
it like a 1 gram dab and then they come throw something on top of it, or do you know what
saying,
the
pretty much. I'm
okay.
just like, wow, and these people love it. They just get acclimated to the dabbing. I personally can't do it. I am a flower guy, so I'm like, give me some good OG Kush, and I'll be happy.
Hey everybody, I want to quickly mention Food Forest Abundance. Food Forest Abundance is a great way to create your own self sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
Yeah. I think I think it's a Florida crew, but there's a dab crew down here called the Bombers.
Ah,
And
there you go.
it's a 1 gram dab initiation to get in the group. And then they have
That's
different levels
hilarious.
too. 2 gram, 3 gram. You can get a hat with like gold or
Oh my
silver
god,
on it. So it's pretty serious. It's pretty serious.
that's amazing. I would like to see that, but definitely. do not want to partake because I can't.
Yeah, I got my ass kicked the
It
other
gets
day.
it gets to heavy levels. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are wild.
Yeah. So edible consumption at all?
Edibles, yes, actually, that was helping me a lot. I was doing a lot more edibles recently because of my back pain. And then because I was kind of under the weather, I was definitely catering and leaning towards my edibles. I have a particular brand that I do enjoy, and I've known that they're really good. It's called Punch Extracts over here,
Okay.
and they actually use hash rosin for their edibles. So it was like white chocolate hash rosin edibles
Hmm.
doing wonders. So you could definitely tell the difference between distillate and rosin. Distillate, I'm glad that people seeing more brands kind of leaning away from it. Distillate, just me personally, I call it hot dog water, and it gives me headaches, you know. So I smoke it. Sure, I'm high for that one little second, but then it disappears. You know, I rather have something like long lasting. Give me that entourage effect. Give me all the flavonoids and all the terpenoids. Give me everything. You know, don't strip it away. And I think that's definitely the best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I got a couple rapid fire questions for you. If
Yeah,
somebody
sure.
named a strain after you, what would it be called?
Johnny Kush OG.
Okay. All right. The craziest thing you ever smoked out of?
Ah, dang, that's a tough one. Because over here in LA, we're always trying to top it. The craziest thing. Oh, there's a couple multiple things. I smoked out of, you know, your old-fashioned gravity bong when you were younger. You make it
Sure.
out of plastic bottles. That's in the beginning. Recently, I smoked out of a bamboo made bong, which is
Okay.
interesting. And then you know, smoking out of a rig that's $5,000 worth, and you're like, oh, I don't know. I gotta be careful with that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Uh,
And then I do have a friend though. He works with Fortunate Youth, and what he tends to do is roll up these humongous 1 pounders, and then we smoke it at the end of the concert when they actually like play the song "Light It Up."
wow.
And he lights it up, and then he just smokes it in front of the crowd. And because it's my buddy, I go get close, and then I get to smoke it myself. And that's pretty intense. A lot of people out here, they're like, the bigger the better. It's I guess it's the show factor, but I'm just like, I hope it just works, because a lot of times, you know, it looks cool, but you can't even smoke out of it. So then there's other people that they connect this machine. It looks like a leaf blower,
Yeah, yeah,
and it just blows all the smoke and all on people's face. I've
yeah, yeah.
done that, and I'm just like, whoa, you can only be there for like a little bit, like 5 seconds, because it's just like you're drowning in smoke. So that's
Sure.
pretty neat too. So yeah, people do a lot of crazy things out here. It's all fun. I like it.
Yeah, yeah,
People get so creative. I'm just like, wow. I'll just roll something here. I'll be good.
yeah, exactly. When I watch the leaf blower videos, I'm like, how much are you wasting and how much is actually, being consumed? Because sometimes you'll see there and they're just like blasting a crowd, and it's like, well, no one's inhaling that. So,
Nope. But
but
that's the beauty of the market right now. There's an oversaturation of flower. There's so much flower out here. So it's like the prices are going down, unfortunately, for the sellers, but good quality flower is still out there, and you just have to look for it.
yeah, for sure. Well, Johnny, it was a pleasure speaking with you and learning more about Inspired by Cannabis. Let everybody know the best place that they can find more of you and your brand.
Yeah, make sure you check us out at IBC Brand on Instagram, and myself, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Inspired by Cannabis Official. And I am shadow banned, unfortunately. I've been deactivated about like twice, but we're here fighting the good fight. I let them know every single time, hey, this is all educational purposes. So just stick to that. And that's what we're out here doing. We're destigmatizing and normalizing it. And I appreciate everyone, single one of you guys, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you like this episode, make sure you go down there and hit the like button for Johnny and leave a comment with your favorite part of the episode. And make sure you're also subscribed to Dro TV here on YouTube so that you don't miss more great guests like Johnny. So thank you again, Johnny, for coming on the show.
Thank
And
you for
as
having
always, Smoke them if you got them. What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got them.